Hello, fellow creators. I'm going to walk through today on how to create a quick pattern brush. Um, I'm helping a Reddit user today. So, what they have is a uh, checkerboard effect. And so, I'm going to quickly come in here and uh, with this, I'm going to create a quick checkerboard. Um, so, what you want to do here is you want to first set up your objects to the correct color. You're going to want to use black as the object and whatever color mode you're in, which you can see at the title bar here. I'm in CMYK mode. So in my color palette here, I'm using 100% CMYK black. So if I go in here to CMYK and I can see in my hex number, it's the 231F20, which would be the hex number for 100% CMYK black. And then what I want to also do is I want to select these two. I'm going to Control C, Control F to paste on front, and I'm going to hold Shift down and rotate. And then I'm going to turn these to 100% white. Then I'm going to bring out my brush palette here. And with nothing selected, I'm going to select my pattern that I want to create. And I'm just going to simply drag that into here. And then what I'm going to do is select Pattern Brush. Then as you see here, it's going to automatically create the brush for me. On the line, I have the checkered pattern, which looks like it's laid out perfectly. But in here, if I see the overlap does not quite look right, but if I come here, I can see that it's actually going to build it correctly, but it actually does not. So what I actually want to do is try to find the best option that's going to be here, which does look like it's going to be the first selection that it gave me. But it's not doing anything for the corner up here, so I'm going to let it do an auto in the corner there. That one looks good. And then end and starts, it didn't give me anything. So I'm going to hit OK. Now, if I come out here and I do a brush with this pattern, you can see here that it does follow that brush. Um, the other option that we can do with this is come in here and want it to do a scatter brush. What a scatter brush would do is I'm going to leave it all fixed. Um, the key color, actually, I'm going to reselect this to the black. And then what I'm going to do is also with this brush here is I'm only going to select the black and drag that back in, create another pattern brush here. And we're going to put another corner back in and it's black in here. All right, and then I'm also going to just with the black selected, I'm also going to do another scatter brush. I'm just going to leave them the default names. The better thing to do would be to select it. I'm going to name it um, so checkerboard with white, so CBW, and checkerboard with transparent CBT, and then SB checkerboard. And then this one was transparent. Oh no, wait, that was with white, right? Yeah, that one was with white and scatterbrush, checkerboard, transparent. So that way I have better naming. And then if I were to clone this and use a scatter brush, you could see that it did not stay to the path. It just did them stamped in. And what I actually want is I'm going to double click in here and method. I'm going to do tints and shading, but that relative to the path is what I want here. Still don't know why it's a little bit scattered when it's fixed. Hmm, it's not staying relative to the path. Um, okay. I've not seen that before. Something else changed recently because that does not stay relative to the path. Um, so what I wanted was, I guess it's staying pretty good, actually. But with this in there, I want it relative to path also. Apply to strokes. Okay. So now if I come over here to my appearance palette, I want no fill, but as you see here, it should be actually allowing me to change it. Let's go back into the edit because it's not doing the tint. Oh, tints and shading. Tint, hue shift. Yeah, tints and shades by stroke. Why isn't it going red or green or all right? I'm having a little bit of an issue here. So let's actually make it red. And I'm gonna hold Alt and bring that in there. Oh, there we go. So I needed to make it a different color. So what I did is I actually converted this to red, and then what I could do is come in here and say, okay, the red is the color that I want it to mask, and then I'm gonna do the same thing to here, and I want that color to be the red, and then that way I could do tints and shades here also, and everything is already gonna map out. I can hit apply. So this one, if I apply that and I want, it's not doing quite what I want. What is going on here? I have not experienced this. Okay, if I make these black to black and reapply it, tints and shades, maybe hue shift was what I wanted. No fill. Interesting. They changed something because before I used to be able to say, hey, this is a color. I want to change that color with tints and shades. None. Key color is black. Apply stroke. Should be allow me to apply on the black the color. I mean, I could easily just change the color here, and with it selected, drag and drop it in here and apply it to that, and it tells me I want to apply that to that stroke. So that is how I could change the color. The other way I would do it is if I wanted to set, let's say, this color. So it doesn't matter what the color is here because it's applying the stroke brush to it in my actual appearance palette. So let's say I wanted to change this color and have it to where I can change it at will at any other time. What I'm going to do is apply this color to my color swatches, but I'm going to do X1 just so that way I can name it, so that way I can reference it back. I want to make sure it's a global color and that it's a process. If you're printing spot colors, like for screen printing, you're going to want to do spot color. And then what you're going to want to do is set the color to something that you can recognize, hit OK. And now I have a spot color in here. And then what I could do is if I put that as the actual object, so I'm going to do this with white. I'm not going to do any color options. Apply to stroke. So now let's say I have this has a whole bunch of lines going across my artboard. And what I want to do is convert this color. Rather than changing the color, I could just go in here and have any object selected. So it could this could be the original. And then what I want to do is I want to change the color. What I do is I just get a block or object, come in here to my color, find the color that I want. Okay, I want this color to be this color instead. If you click and drag this and then holding your Alt or Option key, you can cover up the mask. And then if I come over here, it updated the object. So if I wanted to keep, I'm going to undo. If I wanted to keep this old color, all I would do is copy it, make a copy. Now this one would say Option 2, but now I want this color. I could just drag and drop this color over to it. Now I have my old and my new. So if I wanted to undo it, I could just drag this color back over the old. So then what I would do again is if I'm going to change it again, I would copy the color and then drag my old over it. Now I can switch back and forth between these two colors very easily. This isn't a scientific color. So in other words, if you're, like I said, actually screen printing or anything like that, you're going to want to make sure whatever colors you're using, that this is the art color, and then these are your actual color options. So in other words, these would be the actual true color value or whatever you're actually doing. So if I'm doing actual color values, I'd put the hex number in the name. So that way, when I'm coming back to it for reference, that's the actual color that I'm using. And the color that I'm using here is X1, that is the art color one. So, and then if you want to where you're not actually going to manipulate the art color, what I do is I normally copy it. And then what I do is I change the color and then I go Control F or Control V in another spot. Oh, it didn't do what I wanted it to do. Oh, I messed up there. So you can copy your artwork, this one here, and undo. You could drag this out. And then what you'd do is you'd come in here and reselect all of your color, or the simpler way is to redo the new color and then alter option, bring it back in, and you can apply it that way. Oop, I hit the space bar before I clicked. I thought I clicked it. Oh, it did do another one down here. So then I can apply it that way. So you can always duplicate, update, and do it that way also. But there's a couple different options for you to get the colors and your um, artboard or swatch selected. And then if you want to change the scale, like you don't want to have to come in here and change the artwork, what you could do is come in here to your stroke and you can actually apply different size stroke to it to get it to go that way too. And then in your artboard, you can have multiple colors selected. So if I want that one to be one, and then I'm going to apply a different color here. Let's say I'll just apply the actual color that it's going to be to it, and then I can select the alternative color. That way you can see what it'll be. And then let's say this one underneath you want bigger, and then that one on top you want smaller. You can actually apply effects to it directly there. So I can go stylize drop shadow. Remember, drop shadows are a raster effect. They're not a vector effect. So you have to keep that in mind that because it's raster now, I have to keep this document as a raster output. I couldn't leave it as a vector, or else then you get a rastered bounding box in your print. So it's better if you fully rasterize. So I'm going to offset only by just a tiny bit, and then 0.01 for the drop shadow, because I'm actually working in really small scale. And then what you could do is copy that effect to other layers. And now here's a really cool thing. It's dynamic. So it will update. So you can keep your effects going and do some fancy stuff. So if I come in here and draw another line, you can get some really cool effects going on there. All right. If you have any questions, please hit me up.